16-gate probably worked for you. And that's exactly the problem. There's a specific moment when your body figures out the protocol and quietly shuts down the mechanism that was burning your belly fat. Not because you did something wrong, because you did everything right for too long. From that moment on, staying on 16-8 isn't discipline. It's repetition without stimulus. And your metabolism treats repetition without stimulus the same way it treats a sedentary lifestyle. Most people respond to this by tightening the screws, smaller window, more hours, more restriction. But none of that touches the real mechanism, because the problem isn't the duration, it's the predictability. There's a way to reactivate what 16-8 switched off, and it doesn't require abandoning fasting. It just requires understanding what your body actually responds to when the pattern changes. Before we get into it, always check with your doctor before making significant changes to your fasting routine or diet, especially if you have underlying health conditions. What I share here is educational, based on research and real experience, not personalized medical advice. Now let's go. Here's the real problem with how most people troubleshoot a 16-8 plateau. They treat it like a dosage problem. Results slowed down, so they assume they need more hours, stricter window, fewer calories. And when that doesn't work, they either push harder or quietly decide fasting just doesn't work for them. Both of those are the wrong diagnosis, and a wrong diagnosis always leads to the wrong treatment. I've watched this happen with guys who were doing everything right, consistent, disciplined, genuinely committed, and stuck. The mistake wasn't their effort, it was that nobody told them the tool has an expiration date. Think of it like this. First time you ever carried a heavy backpack uphill, your body noticed. Heart rate up, muscles working, adaptation triggered. Do the exact same hike for 6 months straight. Your body stops calling it a challenge. It calls it Tuesday. No adaptation, no change, just maintenance. Your 16-8 window became the backpack. Your metabolism filed it under Tuesday. This is called metabolic adaptation, and it's not a flaw. It's your body being exceptionally good at its job. The problem is that most fasting content treats 16-8 like a permanent solution instead of what it actually is, a starting tool with an expiration date. Sound familiar? You've been faithful to the protocol. The protocol stopped being faithful back. But here's what most people never ask. What was 16-8 actually doing when it worked? Because that answer tells you exactly what stopped. And that's where this gets interesting. 16-8 works by creating a gap, long enough for insulin to drop, long enough for glycogen to deplete, long enough for your body to shift into fat-burning mode. In the beginning, that gap is genuinely novel. Your metabolism hasn't seen it before. It responds. Fat moves. After enough repetitions, same window, same meal composition, same time every day, your body stops treating the fast as a metabolic event worth responding to. It prepares in advance, pre-depletes a little, recalibrates to match the pattern it expects. Your 16-8 is still technically happening. Your metabolism is just no longer surprised by it. Here's the part that stings. The better your body has adapted to 16-8, the less work it needs to do during it. The protocol that used to burn fat now just maintains you at a new set point. Same hours, same discipline, a fraction of the result. You're not failing 16-8, you've graduated from it, without knowing it, and without a next move. Now, the mechanism that causes this explains something I see constantly. Guys who do everything right and still can't touch the belly. Not the arms, not the face, the belly specifically. There's a reason for that, and it's not what you think. Your metabolism doesn't respond to the fast itself. It responds to the gap between what it expects and what it gets. When you run the same window every day, your hormonal response gets smaller and smaller. Insulin pre-adjusts. Glucagon, the hormone that tells your fat cells to release stored fuel, stops spiking as hard because the fast has become routine. The whole system runs on autopilot. You know what I'm talking about, right? The first month of fasting felt like something was actually happening. Month 4 feels like maintenance. That's not your imagination, that's the biology confirming you've adapted. Here's the part nobody connects. This predictability doesn't affect all your fat depots equally. Visceral belly fat is not like the fat on your arms or your face. Different depot, different hormonal profile, different rules. It has a higher density of cortisol receptors than anywhere else in your body, and it's protected specifically under conditions of chronic, predictable low-level stress. When you fast the same way every day, cortisol runs at a low but persistent level, not high enough to feel it, high enough to tell your belly fat, "Don't move, we might need you." This is why guys can fast 6 months straight and lose fat from their face, chest, arms, and the belly barely shifts. The protocol is working everywhere else. The belly has a different lock. The key to that lock is hormonal novelty. A glucagon response strong enough to mobilize deep fat, which only happens when the fast is genuinely unpredictable, and growth hormone behavior that only surges meaningfully during extended or variable fasts, not the same 16-hour window run daily. Gorilla Mind has never been about grinding harder in the same direction. It's about recognizing when you're pressing the right button on the wrong machine. Your belly fat isn't stubborn. It's waiting for a signal your current protocol stopped sending months ago. Every effective fasting approach has one thing in common that most fasting content never talks about: variability, not randomness. Intentional variability, the kind that keeps your metabolism from locking into a pattern it can optimize around. A moving target your body can never fully map. In my experience watching guys hit and break through plateaus, the ones who keep getting results months in aren't the most disciplined. They're the ones whose bodies never fully know what's coming. Longer windows some days, shorter on others. Last meals that shift in composition, so the insulin curve behaves differently each time. Sound familiar in reverse? You've been the most consistent person in the room, and consistency, past a certain point, became the problem. Here's the honest part. This isn't information fasting content wants to give you, because be more consistent is easier to sell than your consistency is what broke this. But that's the truth of where you are right now. The fix is a pattern interrupt, something that tells your metabolism, we're not in routine territory anymore. Pay attention. You're not abandoning 16-8. You're making it unrecognizable to a metabolism that's gotten too comfortable with it. The first move is a strategic extension. Once or twice a week, push your window to 20 or 24 hours. Not as punishment, as a signal. A 24-hour fast operates on completely different hormonal territory. Glucagon climbs higher. Growth hormone surges in ways a predictable daily 16-hour window stops producing. Your body hasn't received this signal in months. It doesn't know how to prepare for it. It responds. Not the hardest version every day, the right version at the right moment. The second move is pre-fast composition. Swap the last meal. A low-carb, protein-anchored dinner, eggs, meat, fish, vegetables, creates a very different hormonal environment than a carb-heavy one. Glycogen depletes faster. Insulin drops earlier. The fat-burning window opens sooner. Same hours, different starting conditions. The third move is timing disruption. Your body has memorized when the fast starts. Break the start time by 2 to 3 hours occasionally. Small shift on the clock. Large shift in biological novelty. Your metabolism can't pre-adapt to what it can't predict. None of this requires more discipline than what you're already using. Apply that discipline to variability instead of consistency. Work the setup, not the suffering. The 3 moves, the sequencing, and exactly how to apply the timing disruption without blowing up your routine, it's all laid out in the pinned comment. One place. Ready to use this week. Grab it now before you close this tab. And if this finally explained why the scale stopped moving despite doing everything right, subscribe. The guys who stay here don't spin their wheels on broken protocols. They upgrade at the right time. That's the whole game. I want to be straight with you about the timeline, because most people give up right before the shift arrives. Week 1. Nothing obvious on the scale. I've been there. You implement the change and expect to feel it immediately. Stay the course. Hunger on the extended days will feel different, more genuine, less routine. That's the signal working. Weeks 2 to 3. The morning quality changes first. Cleaner waking. More mental clarity in that first hour. The fast starting to feel like an event again instead of background noise. Weeks 3 to 4. The waist starts responding. Slowly. But it moves in a way it hasn't in months. The hormonal conditions are finally different enough to mobilize what was locked down. The plateau wasn't permanent. It was a signal, your body telling you the tool needs an upgrade, not a replacement. 16-8 got you here. The next move gets you further. 16-8 isn't broken. It did exactly what it was designed to do. The problem was never the window. It was the assumption that the same window, run the same way indefinitely, would keep producing the same result. Your body is too smart for that. And now, so are you. The plateau wasn't a wall, it was a door. You just needed to know which key opens it. Know the game you're playing. Go focus on the carcass.